book review coming for you. This time is Dharma Bums by Jack Kerouac, which I also found on the many bookstores that I've been rummaging around in traveling. And it just kind of felt like the perfect book to bring along with me and read. One of the reasons being that Jack Kerouac was one of the first authors that I read that really got me into literature personally, made me want to read it on my own and not just for school. Second, it was about him traveling around the area that I've been in, all the California coast, Oregon and Washington and all this whole area. And if I could recommend one thing, it's reading books that are located in where you're traveling. That's an awesome way to enhance your experience, and you actually know the highways or roads they're talking about, or the places. Everything seems a lot more familiar instead of just this mythological land that you don't know anything about. That's how all book kind of felt like for me growing up, because I didn't travel too much. Besides going to Dallas every summer, every place just seemed fictional. And then I was like, oh, these are actually real places that these authors have been. So it just makes it for a very enjoyable experience. But I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't really have too many problems with it, besides a couple things. Overall, really enjoyable. I love his writing style. I forgot how much I liked it. Probably one of my favorite prose out there. It's improvisational, it's jazzy, it's bluesy, it has a rhythm to it. It's just like you can talk about anything, whether it be the landscape or food or drinking or not even doing really anything. But I just love the way he describes things. He talks about his experiences going to poetry readings, hiking, traveling, jumping trains, going across the country, just kind of bumming it, which is what I'm doing. So felt like the right thing to read, and it was, and I really enjoyed it. It'll probably be in my top 10 list of reads this year. It really resonated with me. There's a couple times where I kind of had to push through just because I thought I wasn't really sure what the book was going to be about. First fourth of the book or so is them just taking this hike. For a second I was like, wait, is this whole book just this one hike? I was kind of worried about that, but then they got through with it, and then a bunch of other stuff happened. So because the cover has, a bunch of just mountain peaks, and I'm just like, is this all just one hike? So I was hoping it wouldn't be, even though it would still be good, but because he wrote it. But I was just like, I wanted a little bit more to happen. But anyways, I'm rambling on. This was published in 1958, either his second or third book. Like technically his third book, but second book published. A little bit about him. He was born in 1922. He died in 1969. He's 47 years old. And it was mainly for his drinking. He had some sort of hemorrhage related to all of his drinking. He kind of reminds me of Steinbeck with the way he talks about wine and ports. And they were kind of in the same area, like Monterey and San Francisco and all that. But yeah, these men love their wine. They'll just buy a jug of wine and drink it all in one night. He was a pioneer of the Beat Generation with William S. Burroughs and Allen Ginsberg. He was born in Lowell, Massachusetts. Grew up speaking French. Learned English at 6. Wrote his first novel when he served as a U.S. merchant marine during World War II, but it wasn't published until later in his life. His second novel was On the Road, which made him a beat icon almost immediately. It's real famous for him writing it all in one sitting on one piece of paper. I did get to go to the Beat Museum. Not this last time, I was just in San Francisco, but the first time I went 4 or 5 years ago. It was really cool. One of the main figures of the Beat Generation, which is what got me into literature, like I said. The 1960s and 1970s is pretty much all I focused on in college, with both philosophy and literature, and then I've just been kind of working my way back from there. This book mainly, it's pretty much about his relationship with Gary Snyder, who, surprisingly, I didn't even know who he was until after I finished the book and realized that Jaffe, it's Japhy, is Gary Snyder, because all of the people in the book, this is just like slightly fictionalized. It's fiction, but it's pretty much what happened. He just changed the names. which is probably my favorite form of fiction or literature. That's what I really enjoy, is these authors' real life experiences. Gary Snyder was also a big figure in the Beat generation. He's really known for his poetry more than anything else, and him and Kerouac were the two that were like most into like Buddhism and being Zen masters and trying to reach enlightenment and doing all these meditations. And that's a lot of what this book is about, is his Buddhist journey, both of theirs, and how they view it differently and practice it differently, but they're both super dedicated to it. But yeah, a little bit more about Kerouac. He published 12 novels in his lifetime and a lot of poetry. I do plan on getting to most of those books, if not all of them. Eventually, I still have to read a couple of his other big ones, like Big Sur. I just bought this same edition of On the Road because I don't actually have a copy of it, I don't think. And plus, I like this copy better. And so I need to reread that one. But I'm pretty sure I liked this one more than On the Road. But also, I read it, 5 years ago. So I'll have to give it a reread. It's almost 100 pages longer, and I just remember like really struggling to get to the end because I was just ready for it to be over with. And I kind of had that feeling with this one a little bit, even though it is quite a bit shorter. No, it's only like 50 pages shorter. He's like perfect at like 200 pages, and then after 200 pages, I'm just like, okay, like let's wrap it up. Yeah, he's known for his spontaneous prose covering spirituality, jazz, promiscuity, life in New York, Buddhism, drugs, poverty, travel. He's influenced Bob Dylan, the Beatles, the Doors. Thanks for checking it out. Definitely read it. Peace.